Are you interested in things you can't afford? Yeah, me too. Me too. Are you interested in old things? I'm not really. No.
Yes.
I guess my girlfriend is doing the intro now. Well, either way, we're going to cover the top 10 most expensive artifacts legal in EDH coming straight from the reserve list. So without further ado, happy sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for dropping by and your ongoing support. My name is Patrick, host of the EDH Brutality YouTube page, in which I upload Magic the Gathering content and analysis every Sunday. Before we jump right into today's video, a quick and special thanks to patrons like you for making videos like this possible. It should be mentioned, however, that no card seen within today's video is listed in any particular order, whether that be through price or effect. As stated within the intro, all cards must remain legal in the current state of EDH. And I will put this out there, I have left out a select few artifact creatures as I want solely artifact cards displayed within today's episode. As always, timestamps will be provided down in the description below. And without further ado, let's just jump right in. So to kick things off, we have Candelabra of Tawnos. Coming at 1 generic mana, this mono artifact reads, pay X mana at instant speed to untap X separate lands, which undoubtedly is quite the strong effect, especially when paired with the various Lotus lands that can tap for multiple instances of mana. Unfortunately, if you want to get your hands on a gem such as this, it'll run you about $2,700. And unfortunately, this is not our most expensive card within today's list. While we're on the topic of Tawnos, however, let's talk about Tawnos' Coffint, which is an artifact spell coming in at 4 generic mana with eroded text reading. You may choose not to untap this artifact during your untap step. Pay 3 generic in tap, exile target creature and all auras attached to it. Note the number and any kind of counters that were on that creature. When this artifact leaves the battlefield or becomes untapped, return that exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control, tapped with the noted number and kind of counters on it. If you do, return the other exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control attached to that permanence. In other words, it's a blink on a stick, which is a rather strong effect, especially since the counters don't ever disappear. Or it still comes at quite the hefty price, which sits around $125. Still really expensive, but not too rich for my tastes. Well, depends on the deck. Looking for a similarly priced card, well, we have Ring of Maroof, which for $120 gets you an artifact spell for 5 generic mana that reads, pay 5 generic mana and tap, exile this artifact. The next time you would draw a card this turn, instead put a card you own from outside the game into your hand. Yeah, not necessarily a good effect here. Sure, it's great in Vintage, but this is an EDH channel. Pretty sick art though. Our next inclusion, however, is, once again, absolutely useless, in EDH that is. The card I'm referring to happens to be City in a Bottle, which is a 2 generic artifact spell reading, whenever 1 or more other non-token permanents with a name originally printed in the Arabian Nights expansion are on the battlefield, their controllers sacrifice them. Players can't cast spells or play lands with a name originally printed in the Arabian Nights expansion, making this one of the best stack pieces in the game if all your friends are only playing Arabian Nights. However, life isn't that simple, and nobody is playing cards from Arabian Nights in EDH, aside from myself. But you know, if you do have that special play group, you can pick up this card for a measly $425. You want a piece of real power? Well, it's gonna cost you. We've got Mox Diamond, a free artifact spell that is yet to be banned, stating, when Mox Diamond comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice Mox Diamond. Tap and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. And you know what sucks about this card? Is nothing. It's a great card. In fact, I was thinking about picking this thing up several years ago when it was a little bit below the $500 price point. However, logically, it was just too much for me to stomach and justify in paying for a individual Magic the Gathering card. So what did I do? I didn't buy it. And of course, what is it worth today? A near mint copy will run you about $1,000. Control P, my friends. Control P. Our next card that will be included within today's list happens to be one I picked up at a rather cheap price, thankfully, being Sword of the Ages, a 6 generic artifact from the set of legends with ability reading. Sword of the Ages comes into play tapped. Tap and sacrifice Sword of the Ages and as many creatures as you choose. Sword does the combined power of those creatures in damage to one target. Sacrifice creatures and Sword are then removed from the game entirely. And I don't know if my favorite part about this card is the recent price jump, or perhaps that it just refers to itself as Sword. You know, the name of the card's too long when they can't fit the whole name in the text box. If you want a card such as this, it'll run you about $100. However, is that justifiable for a better fling? Well, it does have the power of friendship. Don't buy this card. It's not good. Most of the time. Emphasis on most of the time. Speaking of good cards once again, how about Null Rod? One of the last few cheaper cards within today's list. Coming at 2 generic mana, this artifact spell reads, players cannot play any artifact abilities requiring an activation cost, making this an essential stacks piece for many brews. I mean, just pair this with a Mycosynth Lattice, and yeah, your opponents are gonna hate you. Who else wouldn't want to lock out opponents from even tapping their lands? No, stop. You want to do that. You want, go to sleep. But yeah, this card will run you about $120. This next card in the video is a rather weird one, that being Mirror Universe, a 6 generic artifact spell with eroded text stating tap and sacrifice this artifact. Exchange life totals with target opponent. Activate only during your upkeep, which is a rather slow card for a rather strong effect. I've seen this card sell between the $300 and even $800 range, and it all depends on the scarcity within the market. But just to be safe, I'm going to list this one at $450. Our runner-up in today's video happens to be where land destruction goes to die, as we say hello to Pyramids, a 6 generic poly artifact with eroded text reading. Pay 2 generic mana at instant speed and choose one. Destroy target aura attached to a land, or the next time target land would be destroyed this turn, remove all damage marked on it instead, which of course is a rather weird rulings question because typically lands don't take damage. However, all that you need to know is that for those single target land destruction spells, you're going to negate that and remove the damage instead. And even though there's no damage on the land, it doesn't matter because you're going to remove the damage instead.
What?
But yeah, it stops land destruction. And unfortunately, it is a rather bulky investment mana-wise, but for its ability, it is rather affordable. Not really. It's coming in at $120. Not excessively high, but way too high for a casual game of Magic. And with that, we can finally get into our last card within today's video, being Gauntlet of Might, which if you're looking for an alpha print goes for about $4,000, ungraded that is. And there's a reason for it. One, it's cheap mana wise, and 2, its effect is still cracked today. So let's take a look at it. Gauntlet of Might is a 4 generic artifact spell with ability reading. Red creatures get +1/+1. Whenever a mountain is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional red mana, making this a cheaper and better Mirari's Wake for our mono red players. But at that price, is it really better? Yeah, it is. So, do you agree with my finds? If I missed any expensive reserve list artifacts, feel free to let me know down in the comments section below. I do plan on continuing this series within the reserve list as we continue on with each individual card type. But until then, if you want to stay tuned for future videos in the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell down in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Somebody said, my name is Patrick, host of EDH Brutality. I thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys. Oh my gosh, I did it. I did it in one take with this outro. Once again, guys, click on either one of those videos. You're going to enjoy them. If not, I'll see you next week. We really have to put an outro here. Unless you like this. Click on the videos. I'll see you next time.